Welcome to the Restoration Revolution podcast, where we help restore hope and put your family on the road to recovery, one episode at a time. Here's your host and owner of Hazard Clean Restoration, Chad Melanie.
What happens when someone passes away alone and isn't discovered right away? Unattended death scenes require professional restoration and more empathy than you might expect. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Sophia Yvette, co-host/producer, back in the studio with Chad Melanie, owner of Hazard Clean Restoration. Hi, Chad. How have you been?
Hi, Sophia. I'm glad to be here today. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on, Chad. Now, there's a side of biohazard cleanup that isn't often talked about, but it's something your team deals with regularly. Can you talk a little bit about unattended death?
Yeah, of course. It's the kind of call really no one really wants to get. It's really the kind of scene, that a lot out there aren't prepared to handle, whether it's some companies, if it was family, it's not, when it comes to an unattended death, it isn't just a tragedy. It's a crisis that unfolds behind closed doors. And when someone passes away and they're undiscovered for days, weeks, nature really begins to take over in ways that a lot of us don't understand unless you're in this industry. It's heartbreaking, but it's also hazardous. And that's why the cleanup is really meant for trained professionals. It's a sad situation, and it really is. When someone passes away, the human body starts to decompose in about 4 minutes after death, and that's been proven through science. And about the 72-hour mark, if the conditions are warm, you're going to start seeing bloating, tissue liquefaction, the release of biofluids, and about 85% of our weight is actually just soft tissue and blood. And so all that has to go as it decomposes somewhere, and it typically penetrates the carpets, the surrounding materials, the baseboards, the drywall, anything in that, if it's wood floors. And it's a lot. And so all that's going somewhere, all that biological matter is going somewhere. Then you're going to have what we call vectors, and vectors are like flies are vectors, and they're going to spread that cross-contamination somewhere, and they're going to spread it basically throughout the structure, the room, anything like that. And what happens is they'll land on some of the biohazard or the biofluids, and then they'll land on walls and counters and dishes and other rooms and spread it throughout the structure. And and not only those vectors, when the first responders show up or the family shows up or friends, it's been proven that they'll cross contaminate up to about 72.5 feet throughout the structure wherever they go. And that really means that a first responder, if they walk through that scene, anywhere that first responder or anywhere that family member walks, potentially they may now have cross contaminated that scene. There's also things we don't think of all the time, like pets. And so dogs, let's think of a pet like a dog. If they were in the home, which we've seen time and time again, they will almost cross-contaminate the whole structure, because they'll be there with their owner who's passed away, and they'll sit next to them. It'll get on their fur. They'll walk through the structure, and that really can impact that. What we do is we forensically clean. And so, we're going to forensically clean, which means that we're going to prepare both the vertical and horizontal, structure, the area of the structure for professional disinfection or neutralization. When we do that, we always apply like an EPA-registered hospital grade tuberculoside disinfectant with a 6-log kill it's going to kill. It's been proven to kill both gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria, and it also inactivates both enveloped and non-enveloped viruses. And if we find that the biohazard has gone into maybe the porous material, from there, well, if it can't be clean, you think mattresses, If it got soaked in a drywall, then we're going to remove them. If we can't clean it and verify that it was clean and it's going to be safe, then we remove it. We really do this by just using science to make sure we don't just get all the services, and I'm talking all the services, not just clean, visually clean, where someone looks at it and it's like, okay, it's clean, but we actually get them food grade clean or hospital grade clean.
Wow. Now, Chad, one other question for you. How do environmental factors like heat or humidity accelerate the decomposition process?
It's a great question. It can accelerate or cause the decomposition to slow down. And so, really, its influence, 68 degrees really is the magic number to either slow down that cell breakdown or speed it up. And so, if we come into a home and, or it's wintertime or something like that, and, it's been 60 degrees in that environment, then that process will slow down dramatically. If, we've gone you know, into homes and the owner wasn't feeling well and actually had put the heat up, because they weren't feeling well before they passed away, and in that situation actually speeds up the decomposition very fast. And so it's really 68 degrees kind of is the magic number for that. And no matter if, and I guess the point I would make is that when we show up, no matter if it's the decomposition is days, weeks, anything like that, we do what's right to make sure that we're bringing safety back to those spaces, because the last thing we want is for family members, they're already dealing with enough pain. And so the last thing we want is for them to have to deal with any more pain. And so we do everything to make sure that when the family member or anyone walks in afterwards, there's no sign of it. There's no smell of it. It's taken care of.
Well, thanks, Chad, for your in depth discussion today about unattended deaths. We'll catch you in the next episode. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
Bye, Sophia.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Restoration Revolution podcast, where recovery starts here. Let us help put your family on the road to recovery. Go to hazardclean.net or call 772-259-5018. That's 772-259-5018.